What's happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. Today we got another huge update. You guys can probably already tell it is going down. Just by that title alone, guys, definitely gonna want to check this one out. We got my boy Cash Jordan back again, first-hand look. These NYC camps, y'all seen it in the title, guys. I'm excited to get in this one, so we're not straight into it. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Before we get into it, you guys hit that like button, also hit that subscribe button for your boy. Without further ado, let's hop straight into it, folks. Check this one out.
So here we are in the New York City subway, or as I like to call it, the land of broken promises, because even though this is the place where all the money from congestion pricing is supposed to go, it already gets $20 billion a year along with our buses and the other public transit stuff we have here, and it looks like an absolute disaster, even though there's a city agency in charge of this place that's promised to take care of it and somehow isn't able to find the funds to do it. Yet this place obviously needs a lot of help, and the people in charge of our city want to get this plan enacted to see if it starts working before Trump comes into the White House and puts a stop to it as he's promised to do.
Congestion pricing is expected to take effect on January 5th, slapping a $9 toll on most vehicles entering Manhattan south of 60th Street. Governor Kathy Hochul insisted today this was her plan all along.
So the state's legal advisors believe that Trump could try to put a stop to congestion pricing if he gets into office, and it hasn't been activated yet. So they're going to try to activate it now, January 5th. And the reason this plan is so controversial is because driving a car in Manhattan is kind of a waste of time. Traffic is so bad. Getting rid of cars would free up road space and do a lot of good things. But the tolls are expensive. The subway's not exactly safe, as you can tell from the National Guard troops that are down here patrolling it with the help of police. And if you're carrying anything that's bigger than an iPhone, navigating some of these stairs might be pretty difficult. And even though New York is a very blue state, here in the congestion zone in Manhattan, there was no red shift. But even in counties that still voted overwhelmingly blue in the last election, you do see that more voters turned to the Republican Party than they have in quite some time. And these just so happen to be areas of town that if you want to drive from here through Manhattan, you're going to have to pay this toll, which to some people makes it look like this plan was paused just a few months before a presidential election for purely political reasons. Now, if you live in New
Wow, guys, you see, that is honestly insane. Just to come after the folks who voted for Donald, I mean, like, come on, you guys. And then on top of that, I'm trying to think, like, you're telling me I already pay the state tax. It's already coming out my check. And now you're talking about paying a street tax too, a road. This is honestly just, I can't even get this through my head. New York City is a whole different country. It is not a part of the United States. That's nuts.
Before a presidential election for purely political reasons. Now, if you live in New York and you don't want to take the subway, you're going to have to pay a $9 fee for driving your car, even if the subway you want to take isn't working properly because the money to fix it is being wasted. But this really adds up. $9 a day is $45 a week if you work 5 days, and $2,300 over 12 months. There goes your tax refund. There goes your Miami Beach vacation, but it's not going to stop there. The toll is actually set to increase every couple of years, and it'll be back at the $15 amount sometime in 2030, at which point it will cost people $3,900 a year to not take the gross, disgusting, unsafe subway system, which is going to look just as flashy.
Not just people. This was in a red wave area, you guys. This was a straight up Trump support. This is kind of crazy to even try to get through my head. Like, Kathy Hochul, what do you have going on over there in New York? This is nuts. Absolutely insane. These folks have already paid their taxes $2,300 a year annually. $9 a day. I know some folks canceling their freaking Netflix subscription just because they went up from $9 to $13 a month. $9 a day, y'all. This is crazy.
Take the gross, disgusting, unsafe subway system, which is going to look just as flashy and beautiful the day it starts as it does right now. And that's the problem with this plan. The whole thing relies on believing a bunch of promises that, as we look around, aren't being kept as we speak. This place is a mess. And if you want to look at how the congestion pricing money is actually going to be spent, look at what's happening with all the new train cars that the city's been building. They can't even get those to run correctly, and they cost billions of dollars. And stories like this make it pretty hard hard to believe that the city isn't going to do the exact same thing and waste the billions of dollars in new tax revenue it gets. But again, literally none of this is about actually improving our public transit networks, because if that's what was going to happen, this plan never would have been paused. It would have been started right away so that everyone could see the tangible benefits of it. No, instead it's about stopping Trump from stopping this plan, because even if it gets off the ground and isn't working, it can still be adjusted later and the state won't lose the power to do it. And what you really have here with this battle over congestion pricing is a power struggle, and it looks like the state is probably going to win this one.
I cannot add another burden to working and middle-class New Yorkers.
But the governor struggled today to explain her abrupt decision to...
My question is, that's why I struggle to feel like feel bad for these folks sometimes, just because of the fact that, like, who is voting? Like, are you guys not getting out and participating in your local? Like, are you guys voting at all? Because who's voting these type of folks in? Kathy Hochul. You know, you got to do a little research before you just get to go in there pressing and selecting buttons, filling in names. Like, come on. Like, this is why you got to make sure you know who you're voting for. Like, what?
To working and middle-class New Yorkers.
But the governor struggled today to explain her abrupt decision to pause the plan while defending the new plan and attempting to sell the relaunch as a concession to working New Yorkers.
It was $15 before, and now it is $9. That is a 40% reduction.
So, in theory, a great public transit system would save the city and its residents tons of money, because these trains are always breaking down, there's rampant delays. Anyone who's ridden the subway will tell you it's a very unpleasant experience. But the problem is, we likely won't get a great public transit system out of this, because the one we have now isn't that great, and the same people will be in charge. Plus, any savings from public transit improvements could be offset by the fees everybody's now got to pay when they drive or when they buy anything, which now costs more, because whatever you're buying came into that business on a truck, not the subway. But it's important to understand that the governor and the mayor, they're not anti-Trump per se. They've just got to get this congestion pricing thing going now if it's ever going to have a chance. And they're between a rock and a hard place, because obviously this place needs work, and this is the only way they're able to get the money without making cuts.
Yeah, getting the money, but it's all about you can raise as much money as possible, but then, you know what I mean? But it's them allocating the money to the right place at the end of the day. And that's where I feel like the big hold up here is. It ain't about getting or raising the money. I think it's more so about who is raising the money. Where is this money like actually going to after it's being raised? Because it's obviously not going here.
It's work, and this is the only way they're able to get the money without making cuts. Yeah, they're not going to cut anything. They're just going to get more money. And they're not going to do anything about the hundreds of millions of dollars they lose to people who ride the subway and bus without paying, which is costing the city $700 million a year. That's absolutely crazy. But the good news for anyone opposed to this, who doesn't want the rest of their life to cost more money, is that even if President Trump can't stop this plan because it's already started, there are at least 8 lawsuits pending against it right now. And these lawsuits cover just about everything from negative impacts on parts of the environment that are not in Manhattan to foot traffic drastically decreasing in certain areas like Chinatown that are within the congestion zone, but have businesses that have been struggling for years now and really need all the foot traffic they can get. There's a fear that it might die off as traffic in general dies off because of these fees. And one of these lawsuits is from the state of New Jersey. But outside of the pending lawsuits over congestion pricing that reveal some very controversial details of the plan most of its supporters don't know about, the whole reason the plan needs to be kicked into high gear now is because ultimately it requires federal approval to begin. And the governor and mayor know that under the Biden administration, they're likely to get approval from this. Either way, some of these lawsuits reveal that the very people who are supposed to benefit the most from congestion pricing may actually suffer the worst because of it. But with this plan set to start in just a couple of weeks, many people are wondering if it's really going to improve everything you see down here right now, or if it will indeed be a business closing, job killing disaster. So when I first heard about congestion pricing, I thought that it was going to be great because obviously there is way too much traffic here. And obviously the subway is terrible. And on the surface, it seems like a great idea to get rid of the traffic and make the subway better. But it's not just that it looks unlikely for the subway to actually see any real improvements under this plan. The reasons why communities across the state and country are suing to block this aren't readily apparent to most people who just believe we'll get a better subway and that's it. And even though we keep hearing about how this plan is going to be great for businesses, many businesses are scared it might actually cause them to shut down.
It's going to hurt a lot of people, a lot of businesses, and I'm going to be one of them.
Nassar Al-Qatani is the owner. He says one of his main concerns is the extra fee distributors may charge.
Exactly.
Everything. Groceries, drinks, candies,
like that was the first thing that came. As soon as he was like, they can't bring in or they can't import all their goods in on the subway, I'm like, dang, they're gonna be taxing these delivery trucks. The price of the groceries are gonna go up. Folks are gonna be, it's gonna be hard to undercut other businesses. You know, you're gonna get shut down if you really can't. You know, they're gonna get rid of the traffic, but I don't think they're gonna improve their public transit situation just because of where the money is being sent to. This is absolute. I see where they're trying to make a difference, but also it's just like, dang, a bad situation. Who's in power? Who's in control here? You know?
Groceries, drinks, candies, if they do that, that means it's gonna raise all prices.
Inside this
So here we've got a owner of a corner store that sells food, and he expects his prices to go up because everything in the store comes to him by a truck, and he expects those trucking companies to just pass these congestion tolls right on to him, making it more expensive for him to stay open. And this is a problem many restaurant owners are going to face because nothing that's inside any of these places can get here from the subway. And if it costs these places more money to stay open, they might have to make tough choices like raising prices or, sadly, letting someone go and not having as many employees. And if a restaurant closes and shuts down or lets people go, it could very well be that in 10 years, these fired employees do have a nicer, better subway system, but they lost their jobs. The same thing could happen to a restaurant that has to raise its prices. Its customers might no longer eat there, or they might do less business. All because these places are an absolute logistical nightmare to operate. They get constant deliveries throughout the week. And here we've got some deliveries. Do you think any of this stuff could be carried on the subway? Absolutely not. That would not only be unfeasible because of how much there is, but this is food we're talking about here. You don't want your food down there in that subway. I was just down there, trust me. And this is the first real issue that many people have with this congestion pricing plan. It applies to businesses who can't take advantage of public transit in any way. They're just gonna pay a price.
Definitely needs to be some type of exception rule also, like large delivery trucks, you know, stuff like that. I mean, just the whole widespread, it just doesn't make sense to me. You can't tax everyone. And still, you talking about $8-9 a day? That is absolutely absurd. That's craziness.
Who can't take advantage of public transit in any way. They're just gonna pay a price for existing. It would be a lot different if these fees only applied to people who worked in an office somewhere and didn't have to carry a whole lot of stuff. That would definitely get cars off the road. That would be better for emergency vehicles and response times, sure. But to make this apply to businesses that have no choice but to drive, that kind of seems unfair. And they pay more than a car does. It's like 20 bucks. Okay, $14 for small trucks and $20 for big trucks. But after all, this plan was designed by the people who run the subway. Of course they think it's going to be great. Of course they think everybody should use the subway. Why shouldn't they? They run it after all, and it needs more money. And if more people used it, they would have it.
Think of a restaurant or a bar. They get so many different deliveries from various suppliers that are all coming into the zone. And we've heard that they're going to start adding a congestion fee surcharge on top of every single check that they're already bringing in. So if you're getting your food delivery, your beverage delivery, all of these things are going to head.
Now, I'm hopeful this doesn't happen, but when these readers get turned on and start taxing cars, the big losers, they're going to be people who, in some cases, didn't go to college and are working at some of the businesses that are directly affected by this. And then after this plan starts, everyone else will start feeling the effects of it with higher prices. If you live in an apartment building and it needs to get fixed, who does that? A bunch of guys with a truck. If it needs fuel so you can have heat in the wintertime, how does that get there? It gets there on a massive truck. And you've also got to wonder, could this end up bringing down property values? If this storefront for this restaurant doesn't get enough foot traffic, the restaurant's going to close and it won't be worth the same amount of money to rent. And this is something that many critics are particularly worried about in the Chinatown.
This is actually facts though. This may be like where these like readers are at, maybe creating a dead zone where people just don't want to go there, no traffic. You know, unless you're in walkable distance, you're really not visiting the stores either. It's going to be like a dead zone. You're going to try to avoid it. It's crazy.
portion of Manhattan, which is inside the congestion zone and already has a lot of foot traffic problems. And even here in Midtown, you have a lot of businesses that rely on tourism, which could decrease if it now costs more money to get into the city. And then you've got the environmental aspects of this, because even though less traffic out here on these roads will decrease pollution and noise in Manhattan, the MTA's own studies reveal that outer boroughs are going to get hit with extra pollution, and this is especially bad in the Bronx, where asthma rates are some of the highest in the country. They're going to spend millions of dollars to install air filtration systems in schools that are near roads that are likely going to be jam-packed with traffic just outside of highways that lead into the congestion zone. But the problem is they're not going to install air filters in the homes of those school children, so when they go home, they'll still have to deal with all the pollution that comes from the congestion pricing. But congestion pricing is likely going to be here very soon with federal government approval, and that means it's going to start. Now, I'm hopeful that after it starts, none of this happens. That's my hope. But if that were true, why would so many people be concerned about it? Why would there be 9 lawsuits if this was something that was just going to make everyone's day better and improve the city? And is the city even able to take the $1 billion that they're supposed to be guaranteed every single year from congestion pricing and then turn that into loans that are worth $15 billion and spend that $15 billion adequately?
Yo, there we have it, guys. Oh my goodness. The problems we see going over in NYC, it honestly does feel like they live in a separate country sometimes. Just so congested, so much traffic. You would think that this system they're trying to put in play would actually benefit, using their public transit system, freeing up the roadways, also generating a little revenue or extra revenue for their public transit system, their subways. But it just seems like they've got the wrong folks at the top of the food chain, and until they address that situation, it just seems like this is going to be almost like highway robbery for those folks. So honestly, people will just avoid the whole scene situation where you see those cameras and they got those readers out. Definitely not going to be riding through those zones. It's going to be foot traffic only, and if it's not walkable, it's going to be totally avoidable. So, I mean, I don't know, guys. Definitely up in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. I think he said, what, 2,300 annually in order just to drive through those. If you went through there every single day, you worked in one of those local businesses next to a reader, you had to park out back. That's absolutely insane. Take that off your annual salary. But yo, definitely hop in the comment section. You guys, let me know your thoughts. Also, I'll make sure to leave that original video link. This is from our boy Cash Jordan down in the description box below for those who want to check that full thing out. Also, you guys to go over there, show our friend Cash Jordan tons of love, tons of support. Also, make sure you guys hit that like, but hit that subscribe button if you did enjoy more content like this. Catch you guys on the next one.